Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, what I like to do is to create videos that I would have found helpful when I first got out looking for treasure. So today's treasure is this right here. Now, I haven't really had the opportunity to get one quite like this. I always miss them. But this is from one of our local thrift store chains. And as I understand it, and I think what I'm seeing is just all of the random singles that just get down at the bottom of boxes, or that just don't have a pair. And they don't really have a good venue for selling singles there. They don't really have a way of doing that. So I think this is probably pretty much all singles, or just like the little bits and bobs that end up down at the bottom of boxes that don't have anywhere else to go. Now, I'm very excited because the thing is that this could be some pretty good stuff. So we'll see here momentarily what we end up with in this. I've got some trays so we can dump it out. I've got a magnet here. If you're ever sorting these little small ones, the magnet's definitely going to be your best friend, as you can see here. We're going to go through and we'll be able to fairly quickly sort out some stuff. I've got some silver compotes here that we'll put things into for further sorting, and just so stuff doesn't go everywhere, we'll go ahead and use this one. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get this open up, and we can see what kind of treasure's lurking in here. Now, I expect that what we'll probably find in this, and what I would usually expect to find in something like this, would be maybe some gold backs, definitely some silver backs. Sometimes something like this will have like maybe silver earrings. I'd expect if these are true singles, they'd be silver earrings. You know, it depends on where you're getting it, and who it is that's doing the sorting, and how busy they are. Now, this thing is very... Why is it so tight? Just a moment. Okay, we got it. This thing had a lot of tape on it. Like, quite a lot of tape on it. Oh, and I just destroyed the $15 price tag. And it was full $15. So, if you want to know how much we spent on all this, that's what it was. Although we did get a couple other things that day, which I'll do in another video here. I'll tease them right now. Those were 50 cents each. But you'll have to watch the plunder video for that. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Yeah, it's just a plastic stone. We'll just leave that in there for right now. In fact, I think we will use this box for other potential little bits of plastic. Wow, look at all that. Think we're gonna have some good treasure in here. We are definitely gonna have a good video, or two, I guess, talking about how to sort the little stuff out. Well, let's get started here. I'm gonna use the magnet to start, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start doing that, basically. And that will give us a handful of stuff that's stuck to the magnet. Now, the reason I have all these little compotes here is that I'm going to then be separating, I don't know if you can see here, but I'm gonna separate the backs from the fronts on these magnetic ones in particular. The ones that aren't magnetic are probably going to be already matched up. But the reason I'm doing this is because, wow, that thing's magnet. Look at that. It's got a little magnet on it. But the reason I'm doing this is because I want to check to see if there are like precious metal backs on plated earrings, like, or vice versa. So what'll happen is, you know, since these are all totally swappable, you could end up with a situation, and will definitely end up with situations where you have a back that the magnet picks up, but a earring that is actually precious. So we're just going to go through here real quick, and we're just going to see whichever ones of these are stick to the magnet. See that? All those are going to go back in here. Okay. And then the ones that don't stick to the magnet, now all these do stick to the magnet. Oh, and I should note, as I'm doing this, if one of these earrings sticks to the magnet, that means that it is some kind of ferrous metal. If it very weakly sticks to the magnet, like, you know, for example, here you have a situation where this is sterling, but it's sticking there because there's some steel inside. Sometimes with these, if it's very weakly sticking to the magnet and it is still silver, like here, see, this is our first piece of silver, we got 925. That might still weakly attract a magnet if it has a high nickel content in it. So the real strong reaction is what we're using for sorting here right now. And speaking of what we're using for sorting, I need a couple little containers, one for silver and one for gold, don't I? How about fancy cigarette holders with sterling rims? Silver. Silver can go there. Gold can go there. Okay. In you go, silver. So the magnet will definitely speed up this whole process for you in a big kind of way. But keep in mind, part of why we're separating these out after we pick them all up with the magnet is, like we just found, you know, a silver earring that was stuck to a backer that was ferrous. But also, when you pick stuff up this way, sometimes what will happen is you will pick up, things will be stuck to other things, or they will be, oops, can't talk and chew, I can't walk and chew bubblegum sometimes. They will be just like physically stuck to each other. And when that happens, you might end up with, like, you know, a piece of gold that is just like stuck, especially when you've got some of the wires. These wires can really stick to each other. But here, you know, we're looking at all of these are ferrous. So in there they go. As I throw my magnet. I'm not sure if I need more coffee right now or less coffee. Okay. Now, I will say one thing about all this is that the really great lady who sorts all of this, oh, you can see this is costume. I'm just going to toss it straight in, is very good. So it won't surprise me if we don't come up with much more than a little bit of silver out of this, frankly. But she also has a lot of volume that she has to get through. So I think there are times where something that's definitely just costume. I think there are times when things slip by just because, you know, she's still human. And hopefully we'll find something like that in here. It would be nice. I really like getting a little bit of gold here and there, but a little bit of silver is just fine. So here we have our second win so far. And what does it say? Can we read it? China. Let's say China. I see CZ and China, huh? And 925. It's nice when they tell you what the stone is. You know, in that case, that we have a CZ instead of a diamond. You don't have to bother checking it because they're just telling you. So, oh, look at that. Another one, 925 China. No reason not to pause if you spot something, right? All right. That's weird. That's a pair that's together, so I'm just going to leave them together and physically inspect to see. Yeah, that is actually a proper pair. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave those. Oh. And like that's obviously not a precious metal just by the build quality of it. So we're just going to leave that backer on there. And actually, that's the case with the rest of these too, isn't it? Yep. All right. So those can go straight in there. Have a double check, see here. Make sure that each individual one is ferrous, which they all are. I suppose we might as well do a little clean out of our backs too, right? So all of those leap up to the magnet, and the rest don't. I'll show you. Now, that's not to say that these are precious metals. In fact, we know some of them probably aren't, but it means they're at least brass that's plated, and we just have to inspect them individually. Yeah, some of these, I think we're just going to go straight in because they are clearly costume. So one of the hints now, if it reacts to the magnet, and it has like this little haft that's, you know, this is gold and that's not, and it reacts to the magnet, you know that it's nothing. One of the things that people talk about, and I'll get this as a comment quite a bit on my channel here, is that people will say that sometimes you get surgical steel posts. And that is certainly true. You do get surgical steel posts, but it's important to note that surgical steel doesn't really react to the magnet. So if you have a surgical steel post, you're probably not, it's not going to hit the magnet. So it may look like steel, because it is, but it's also not going to be something that you're pulling out with the magnet. What do we got here? Do we have our first bit of gold? Is that what I'm seeing there? Does that say 585? Let me look at it through the loop to verify. Yep, it says Studex 585. There we go. We got a bit of gold. Are we up to $15 worth of gold yet? I don't think so. Are we having fun? Oh, yeah. Now, the other thing, too, if you're going through something like this, keep in mind that you are going to, like at the beginning, especially with this magnet method, you're going to be taking away pretty much all of the trash, or like in the case of that piece that we just saw there, what you're taking away is, what you're sorting out is the things that, you know, in that case, it had a ferrous backer on a gold earring, which definitely happens. Well, I mean, it happens because you just saw it. Here we might have another piece of gold. Itsy bitsy little piece of gold. Is that writing on there or just schmutz? What do we think? definitely have a lot of schmutz on this. Somebody wore it quite a bit. I don't know if you can see it, but right there is 14 karat, it says. Right along there. So yeah, 14 karat and pearl. Second piece of gold. That's interesting. So there's a little catch. Now keep in mind that the catch is going to actually get picked up by the magnet because it has steel inside of it. But that doesn't mean that the outside isn't still gold. Like this one, 10 karat. So another thing to note about the magnet is it will pick up when you have like things inside other things. Little shell. I think that's magnet though. Yep. All right. So this is interesting. We are losing efficacy with our magnet in that we've already picked out most of the stuff that was magnetic. Man, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Boy, is it magnetic. Same with that. Just double check, make sure they're not actually silver. I don't think they are. Oh. Yeah, look at that. So there is an example of magnetic 925. Possibly fake, or possibly just high nickel content. I'm not sure. What do we have here? Does that also say 925? I'll look at it through the loop. No, this one does not say anything. So that one is just ferrous. But this one, I think, is probably silver. It seems a little odd to me that you would go through all the trouble to stamp that if it wasn't. But it could also be a lot of this new like Chinese silver lately. When I've had it on a XRF machine, ends up being like they stamp it 95, but it's actually like 80%. And I suspect that stuff is probably pretty frequently going to be, magnetic. Wow. Okay. We are definitely not coming up with a whole lot with our magnet right now. Now, that doesn't mean that everything in there is going to be gold or silver. What it does mean is that there's probably quite a bit of like plated brass and so forth in there. Those can go away. This kind of has a silver look to it, but it is not. Okay. That's interesting. Very lightly magnetic. Yeah. So that's the other thing about pulling them out this way too, is that you get everything that's strongly magnetic. And I wonder, look at that. I was going to say, I wonder if this is a magnetic piece of 10 karat gold. And look at it through the loop here. No, you know what this is? Interesting. Look at that. No? Yes? Studex. It also says Studex. 585. So I think it's slightly magnetic 14 karat gold. This is the same brand, but it's a different Oh, it's also slightly magnetic. I wonder if these are all gold or if it's just the post. Look at that. Look at that. Is it the post? Yeah. I wonder if we're looking at fakes here. I guess what we'll have to do is we'll have to test these, won't we? Maybe look up Studix. But it's entirely possible in both cases, if there's enough nickel in there, that it's getting us that reaction. And if they're just trying to save a few bucks by using nickel, it would absolutely do that. Okay. Yep. All right. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm just going to pick some bigger things out. We have a bunch of... Is that plastic? Yeah, that's plastic. Got some of these big plastic gemstones. We'll pull those guys out. That might not be plastic. That doesn't feel like plastic. No, I think that actually is a stone. I'm not sure. I don't have a place for stones. That means we need another little container. All right, how about this old British, I think it's like for powder or something. It's glass, but it'll work just fine for putting stones in. Okay. So now I'm just going to pick out the big stuff, and we'll just have a look at whatever's big in here. And we will see what we end up with. Okay, that's good enough. So let's just have us a look-see. Oh, we already saw one of those. Yep. This looks like it's probably silver. Yeah. Look at that. 925. All right, into the silver you go. So you have pieces that are like this one, which are clearly plate. And we also have the maybe surgical steel haft, but it's clearly like just a plated piece. Same thing here. You can even see where the plating ends. So it's not getting hit by the magnet, but it's still not like this piece, which is silver. That's pretty cool. That's a little treasure, isn't it? That I'm going to set aside because my kids are going to die when I throw that in the Lego bin. So things definitely slow down when you're getting to the things that are like less magnetic. But the stuff that's less magnetic or not magnetic is, you know, where you're going to find the good stuff. That's interesting. It has the marking, but it's not, I don't think it's silver. I think it's just plate. It would say 925. If they bothered to mark it at all, it would say 925. There's clearly plate. 925. In fact, I think we have the other one of those. Is this? Yeah, 925, right? think that's what that says. Yep. Yeah, here we have another piece of clear plate and low quality. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. That's an opal. Wow, that looks old. Look at that. Does this go into your hair? Or was it for like in a buttonhole? But I think that's a real old opal, and I think this is probably gold. We'll verify. We will verify what this one is, but I'm gonna throw that in the gold right now because I think that's probably what we're looking at. Let's just double check with the magnet on these now that they're right in front of us. There we go. That's 925. All right. Throw that in there. This one probably is, maybe. Isn't. Huh. I don't see the mark on there. Sure looks like silver. I'm going to set that one aside. We will revisit that one. That one definitely is. Not high quality, but it still might be silver. No, I don't think so. Kind of cool. Maybe we'll set that aside and see if the other one is around. Wow, that one is definitely not. That's definitely plate. You can see where the plate ends. Same thing here. You can see right where the plate ends. But let's double check and just make sure that we're not looking at something that is gold with a surgical steel post on it, shall we? I have personally never seen such a thing, but I am told that they exist. And I would imagine that if they do exist, this is what they look like. Because this looks an awful lot like gold. Jeez Louise. I don't know. Well, drop your comments now, but I think what I will do, since we got some like big divots here, and I'm not seeing a base metal coming through, I think what I will do with this one is we'll do a test on it. We'll check to see if maybe that's gold. I think if we test right here, we'll find out if that's a chunk of gold. And if so, that would be the first time that I've seen a surgical steel post on gold, which is cool if that's the case. Okay. Yeah, look at that. What does that say right there? 14K. Now, is it on? Yeah, look at that. 14K. Ah, it's pretty cool. I wonder what that stone is. All right, into the 14 karat you go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and test this one because I just got to know. And I'll be back. And I'm back. So I tested it, and we still don't have gold. That is not 10 karat. And in fact, I think you can see, maybe, yep, you can see the copper right where I tested it coming through. So we have yet to find the fabled surgical steel on gold. But with that, I think what we're going to do is actually finish out this video. I know people usually want to know sort of how much of something I got. Here's the problem. I can weigh this up. We haven't tested that one yet. We'll do that in the second part of the video when we've got all of the gold out. But it doesn't really make sense to weigh this up because we obviously have stuff that's, you know, like there's a spring in there, there's stones here. Yeah, so I think what we'll do in the when we finish this up with a second, hopefully second video, we'll go ahead and weigh up what we got. But that was silver so far, gold so far. But keep in mind, you want to stay tuned for the second episode because we are now getting into where we're actually going to be like finding gold and finding silver more, because once we got all of this out of the way, so now we're getting into stuff that may potentially be those precious metals. If you enjoyed the video, hey, please hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. Always helps if there's something I missed or some information about something I saw. I love to hear it. I've been learning a huge amount from everyone on this channel in the comments. But most importantly, I hope that you were able to learn something so that you can go out and find yourself some treasure.
Like this, I've been Thomas.